So first round, it's my Dark Elder versus Luke's Nids. I'm going first. I won the roll off with +1 because I deployed first, and I have 2 units of witches in the sky. Luke has a tyrant in the sky. Is that it for reserves?
Yep.
Okay. So let's see what happens after Dark Elder turn 1. So after Dark Elder first turn, they flew in. These guys could only reach the zone throats, their blast pistols, and Luke managed to save all of his 3-up invulns. Then this guy blasted off at a zone throat and managed to do 2 wounds. He managed to save 1 on a feel no pain. And then these guys, the warriors, took a load of blaster shots, and 2 of them died. Then I charged in and I tied up those guys but didn't charge them, so they were able to strike back and they did 1 wound to me. I locked in the zone thropes and my grav talons killed one, finished off the one that had taken 2 wounds with a mortal wound when they charged in, and then these guys, this guy took 2 wounds, so he's down to 1. I couldn't quite finish him off, so I didn't quite manage to get first blood. But these guys are tied up, they can't shoot, and it's important to note that this guy couldn't pile in because there was a zone throat there. They were more than 3 inches away when they charged in my bike, so he couldn't pile in the charge phase. Then I piled into him, killed that guy with the grav talon, and so he wasn't able to help, but I'm sure he'll charge me now. So we'll see what happens in Tyranids turn 1. So it's been a good return blow for the Tyranids. They managed to kill 3 bikes with smites from the zone throat, and then they managed to kill another 5 with the Broodlord when he charged in combat. They got no shooting, but it didn't matter. I just couldn't make a feel no pain, so every multi-damage weapon killed a guy, and I've got 1 guy left. They failed to do anything, and he failed to strike back in return. 2 shocked from the assault from the Broodlord. So it's on to Dark Elder turn 2. Dark Elder turn 2, the characters, the 2 succubi, hopped out and made a beeline for the Broodlord, and the bike hopped out of combat and was just like just over an inch behind. Then this guy moved up, he still got his guys inside, ready to charge this guy who was still on 1 wound. Then I deep struck 2 units of 5, no upgrades apart from a blast pistol in each squad, in 9 inches away from these guys. And then just could not hit or wound for anything, so these guys only took 2 damage. Luke got 2 feel no pains on one of my blast pistols that went through. Nothing, no wounds at all from my poison. These guys, he got loads of feel no pains, loads of invulns, but to be fair it is a 3-up invuln, so you know, that was to be expected, but I thought I'd kill at least 1. This guy couldn't charge because obviously he pulled out, and this guy, again, Luke made that feel no pain, so again, he didn't die. So loads and loads of feel no pains there. Dark Elder failing to get a charge off with both of these squads, 9 inches. Both squads have a reroll, but they just could not get it off. So all in all, a bit of a mediocre turn for Dark Elder turn 2. The Tyranids now have a big Hive Tyrant coming in, so we'll see how we survive against that in Tyranids turn 2. So for the Tyranids turn 2, Hive Tyrant came in and blasted 1 squad down with shooting, so he killed 4. And then he charged in, killed the other in close combat, and consolidated into my guys, who struck back and managed to do 2 wounds. That's not bad at all. Over here, the warrior shot at the remaining biker and killed him off, which is annoying because I had plans for him. Then managed to do, I think it was no wounds, was it, to my guy in the end, or was it 2 wounds? 2 wounds to my mini succubus. Then my succubus just failed because those damn zone throw invuln saves, but she, when she struck back, managed to kill 1 of the warriors and get 1 down by 1 wound, and then this guy finished off the warrior he was in close combat with. So on to Dark Elder turn 3. So at the end of the Dark Elder turn 3, I hopped my unit of 7 guys out towards the Hive Tyrant, and then I shot him with the blast pistol and splinter pistols because they're in combat, they can use their pistols. These guys shot their pistols at the warrior and a zone throat respectively, and killed a warrior and a zone throat respectively with their blast pistols, so getting through those invulns eventually. That one of the warriors was then blasted out of combat because he was a bit further behind, so that meant that squad could shoot with their blast pistol and splinter pistol and killed off the other warrior. So ultimately killed off 3 2 warriors and the zone thropes with blast pistols. Being careful for shooting what unit in what order, that really helped. Then I charged in with that squad into him and this guy into him, and ultimately I ended up doing 9 wounds to him in total. They'd already taken 2, I believe, so I did 7 more wounds. So he's got 3 left, and now it's his turn. But he's still got decent psychic. The problem for him here is that my witches have a 4-up invuln in close combat, and you know, he's only got 4 attacks plus his tail in close combat, so he's really struggling to get through even a simple unit of witches. And I can hopefully hack him apart, use my blast pistols to finish him. So let's see what happens in turn 3. So at the end of that turn, the Hive Tyrant blasted with his psychic powers, with mind bullets, and killed off a couple of my witches. Then he struck in close combat, but I passed all my invuln saves. 4-up invuln saves on these witches mean they're really tough to shift, even against, you know, choppy characters, elite units. They only get that 4-up in close combat though. Then the witches just chop, 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 chop. Killed off the Tyrant, and he lost those final 3 wounds. He couldn't survive in his own turn. So that is turn 3. Tyrannid's gone, and a victory for the Witch Cult. So in the Dark Elder's second game, I've got my bikers set up here, and a raider just tucked in this building here, and I find myself facing off against the Custodes. So we've got 1 shield captain at the back there, 4 just standard Custody dudes, and then 3 bikes here just set up in this building. So they finished first deployment, unsurprisingly, so it's +1 to Dean. So I've got 5 and he's got 3, +1, 4. So do you want to try and steal?
Yeah. I'm running out of men on the ground.
No. Okay, so Dark Elder turn 1. So after Dark Elder turn 1, these guys sped forward. They had to move 18 inches to be within blaster and poison splinter range, and the raider managed to get within blast pistol and splinter pistol range as well. Then everything sprayed into these bikes. They managed to kill 2 and get 1 down to 3 wounds. Then they sped in close combat, and they managed to do absolutely no damage in close combat apart from 1 mortal wound with a grav talon. In return, this guy killed 3 bikes. So it may have been a potentially bad idea to charge in, but I wanted to wipe this squad out, get rid of them entirely. But there we have it. So now it's Custodes turn 1. Let's see how badly they can batter me in return. So the Custodes countercharged. The lone biker on 2 wounds, pulled back, and the foot troops went in there with the shield captain leading the charge. And they only killed 1 bike in the shooting phase because I spent 2 command points to make him -1 to hit. But then in combat, he predictably wiped the entire biker squad out, although he did have to commit every unit, the shield captain and those 4 guys, to wipe the squad out, so he didn't get to touch the raider. And he didn't actually consolidate into the raider either, so yeah, that's free to move about. Right, on to Dark Elder, turn 2. So in my turn, I hopped my 2 succubi and 7 witches out of my raider, and I deep struck in 2 units of 5 here. Then I'd cleverly positioned my 2 succubi and the leader of the witches all through with blast pistols right in front of his commander. Popped 3 shots, got 3 hits, 3 wounds, separately of course, and he made all 3 4-up invuln. So I was like, god damn it. Then my succubi went in with a blood glaive and her extra hits and all that, and she got 2 6s when she was striking, which meant she got 4 extra attacks. She hit with everything, so that was 9 attacks. She wounded with 6. He failed 4 of his invuln saves, and I did 7 wounds and just killed him out. So killed his shield captain, or his watch captain, or whatever it's called. Then my witches managed to strike and my against his custodes, and did 3 wounds. He got triple 1, but there was a lot of attacks and wounds going through there because those guys, 7 guys, put out a lot of attacks. Then my final woman, my mini succubi, she's actually broken off her base in all the excitement. She's here, but she struck against the Custodes but failed to do anything. And these guys struck against the biker, failed to do anything. But fortunately this guy, the hero, he'd gone in first to absorb Overwatch, and then he did a wound to this bike, so this bike's on 1 wound. So captain's dead, bike's on 1 wound. I've still got a fair few infantry on the field. These guys failed to get in, even with a reroll charge. But he's killed, I think, 4 witches in return. So it's, you know, the witches are actually surprisingly good against Custodes because they've got that 4-up invuln, so they don't care how powerful the Custodes are, you know, they just tank it on their invuns. There's a little dodging around. So we'll see how the Custodes can do in their next turn. So in the Custode's turn, this guy managed to beat to death 3 more of the witches, or 4, I can't remember anyway. There's one guy left with a blast pistol, the leader. And then these guys managed to beat down a couple more witches, so there's just 3 witches left, and in return, with everything, I managed to do 2 wounds to the Custodes. The Custodes are holding and they are killing down these witches a bit at a time. My lead succubi is on only 2 wounds, and I've run out of command points now. I've been using them for my lightning dodges. So it's down to my turn 3. We'll see what I can do. So my witches still are packing a lot of blast pistols, and 3 of them are in close combat, so they fired those off. But again, he made all his invuln saves. He's doing really well with those shields. Then this guy survived the blast pistol from the leader of the witches that was remaining in combat with him. Then I charged in with my last 5 witches that were here. They couldn't shoot, and I just left this guy in combat because everyone else is engaged. So there's no point I may as well keep him in and shoot and fight in close combat against this guy and hopefully keep that guy alive. But anyway, decided to focus all his attacks on that witch and killed that blaster off in combat, and I've managed to kill another Custodes and get 1 wound off another one. So he's got 2 Custodes left, and my leader, my main succubus, is now only on 1 wound. So she's doing well. He got a wound through, but then only rolled a 2 on his D3, so I stayed alive for 1 more turn, luckily. So now it's on to the Custodes' turn. We'll see what they can do. 3 models and a total combination of 5 wounds left in the game. But they are tough. So this combat is just swirling back and forth. The witches dancing around the Custodes. The Custodes thrusting out with their big weapons, trying to kill the witches. Now he killed, I think, 2 more witches this turn with his Custodes, and also my boss finally did that final wound. Over here, this guy only managed to get 2 wounds on this guy, just messed up with his D3s on the damage he got through, and in return survived. This guy initially did well, but is now sort of not managing to get anything through. It's unsurprising, again, this is Custodes. But I've still got 1 succubus, that little abandoned base there. It's my final succubus character. And I've still got a fair few witches, that's a squad of 5 and 3 more in there. Plenty of blast pistols, so I'm going to try and pop those off and see what I can get in a Dark Elder turn. So the Dark Elder started their turn, the succubus popped off their blast pistol but failed. But my leader of this squad fired off their blast pistol, got a hit, got a wound, he failed his invuln, and did 5 damage, popped that guy. Dean still got this guy in 1 wound, but he's calling it a game there, so it's another victory for the Dark Elder, and their first time against Custodes, and, you know, Custodes are really, really scary, but I think those volume of attacks just meant I had to wait for those ones to come up, and every time a 1 came up it took me closer to killing a model, and every time a model died it took me closer to victory, and the fact that I'm 4 up invuln in close combat just meant that he did not have the volume of attacks to stop me before I got him. So that's that. But it's only Dean's 2nd game with these Custodes ever. He's just built them up and painted them in time for today. Hasn't even got a wash on there yet. So now we have Nurgle versus Necrons. The Necrons are going first. We've got 3 objectives. 1 here, 1 here in this little building in the middle, and 1 over here on the right flank. So the Nurgle have some guys in this Rhino. The Rhino's got a Havoc launcher, and then he's got 2 of these drones with flamers, and then the Necrons, these races on a 3-up invuln, they've been causing chaos all day. The Destroyers have been doing well as well. It's a really nasty Necron list versus a really tough Nurgle, so let's see what happens. So after turn 1 for both armies, first of all the Necrons moved their entire line forward. The Wraiths were about here. The Destroyers then unleashed 11 wounds onto the Rhino, popping it and gaining first strike. They then charged the Wraiths in and managed to kill 3 of the Death Guard. The Death Guard then pulled out with these guys in their turn, so you've got 2 Death Guard infantry remaining, and then the bloat drones moved forward, shot off their flamers in the Destroyers in a counter push, and managed to kill 2 Destroyers. Kill 1 Destroyer and get 1 down to just 1 wound remaining. So 5 wounds in total on the Destroyers. But now it's 2 bloat drones and 2 Death Guard versus what's looking like quite a nasty Necron line. So in the Necron turn, the Destroyers unleashed on 1 of the bloat drones and blew it up. It exploded and did a mortal wound to these guys, a mortal wound to these guys, killed off a Necron warrior, and finished off the guy, the Destroyer, with 1 wound. and then in return, oh, and then that was it. So Nurgle turn 2 has been a really good one. The Wraiths failed their charge into the back of that guy last turn, and that left him free to really do some damage. First of all, he unleashed on the Destroyers, and he got 12 hits on his 2d6 auto hits, and just wrecked the Destroyers, they all died. Then he charged into the Cryptek over here, and he managed to put a wound on him, took no wounds in return. This guy managed to get off some psychic powers. What did he do?
Smite.
He smited one of the Destroyers off the board, didn't he? Killed one of them. And these guys actually launched off with their, what they call blight launchers, and they did a wound against the Destroyers as well. So a really effective turn this guy deep struck in from the Nurgle, and they've really turned the tide of the game a little bit. But these Wraiths have a 3-up invert. And how many wounds? 3 wounds each, so you know, it's all to play for really. I think if they turn their eyes on these guys, they're going to die. Possibly that guy. Well, I think they can just basically kill anything they want. So the Necron Warriors ran up into this building here and just occupied it. So they're looking pretty confident in there. And then the Wraiths just swarmed up to this Necromancer, or whatever he is, Sorcerer, and just tore him limb from limb. I think they did 11 wounds or something ridiculous to him. Or 8 wounds, I can't remember exactly, but they killed him. These guys were left ignored, and now it's on to Nurgle turn 3. So in the Nurgle turn, he shot into these warriors with his Nurgle Death Guard, and then he shot and killed the Cryptek by moving this guy around the side, so he's the closest model, and flaming him to death. In the Necron's turn, they've simply moved these guys forward and torn apart the Death Guard. So the Death Guard are no more. It's just the floating flamer bloat drone left. And these warriors shot into him but failed to do anything. That high toughness, decent armor save, and feel no pain, really making it hard to shift. He's only taken 3 wounds throughout the course of the game. So the Wraiths chased the bloat drone round here and managed to do enough wounds to get it down to its last wound. It then, in its final turn, because it was Nurgle's final turn, and they went second, it floated over to here, just got the advance roll, and then burnt these guys, but it got 8 wounds on the Necrons. We thought, oh, this could be it. It could take one objective, blast the Necrons off the tower, which has an objective in it. But then Dan got really lucky with his saves, and only 2 Necrons died. So in the end, the Necrons win by 1 point, because it's 1 objective each, but Necrons got first blood. And both have lost Warlord?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the final, we've got Dark Eldar Witches versus Necrons. We've each won 2 games. We're the only 2 players who've won 2 games. So we're having a little throwdown to settle this. The Necrons have set up. They've got Warriors on the back line, Destroyers on the back line, and Wraiths up front. Oh, they're deep striking in, they're teleporting in. So he's got Wraiths there. He's got Destroyers there. He's Cryptek just behind. We've got an objective here in the middle. An objective on my flank. I've got my Dark Elder here, and I've got 2 units of 5 witches in the warp. So, in the webway. So, we're going to roll off now. I think you finished deploying first, didn't you? So you get +1. So I get 2.
Yeah.
That's 1. It's a draw.
Nice, I'll do that. You got to touch back.
And I get a 2.
4 each.
It's a draw again. I'm
More
going to use my big dice.
hit and choose.
1. So you're going first, man.
Oh no, 1 missing.
See if I can steal.
Strength.
No, so it's Necrons first. Those Destroyers are going to be wailing on me. So in the Dark Elder turn, these guys couldn't charge, of course, but they could pop off blasters, and they managed to kill 2 Destroyers. And then the guy in here failed, and one of the Succubus failed, but another Succubus hit, and killed off a 3rd Destroyer. Then I managed to charge in with this guy and this guy. I failed with this Succubus, unfortunately, but it didn't match in the end. This guy managed to put a wound on 1 Destroyer, and then this girl finished them off. She got 6 wounds on the Destroyers and just flattened them. The Cryptek's just there, but he's not locked in combat. And the Necrons still have these Wraiths. They can easily catch up, charge them, assassinate her. They're probably capable of even getting all the way over here. So there's a lot about to come in and hit my forces in Necrons. Turn 2. So that was a very exciting turn for the Necrons turn 2. They moved their Wraiths up to here, they deep struck these warriors in here, and the Cryptek ran forward onto this objective over here. The Cryptek blasted off with his staff into these bikers and killed one, and then the warrior sprayed into my succubus here, but a lightning fast dodge meant she only took, and feel no pain meant she only took 1 wound. These guys then put 3 wounds through on her overall after a lightning fast reflexes. I decided to command point 1, so I only had 1 left, but I passed 1, so she had 4 damage on her, and then I managed to get one of those feel no pains, got lucky but actually got 2. So overall she only took 3 wounds in the turn and she survived and she almost died, so I'm really pleased with that. The Necrons are here in full force. I've got some witches to bring onto the table, so let's see what we can do in Dark Elder turn 2. So in the Dark Elder turn, I dropped 2 squads of 5 witches, each has a blast pistol in it of course, over there, within 9 inches of the wraiths. I then put the bikes right next to the Cryptek there, about 5 inches from these warriors, and I jumped the squad and everything else out of this raider right here. And I pulled the girl who survived the combat out 4 inches and then up 6 inches because she's got +2 move for a combat drug. So then basically I blasted off with a load of blast pistols, dart lancers, etc. and managed to kill 1 wraith and did another one down to 1 wound. Charged in with my bikes on the wraiths, but only managed to get 1 mortal wound. I was hoping for a double 4-up, but that took 1 down to 1 wound. And then I stabbed it to death with 1 squad, the final wraith, and oh no, it was with these guys. Then struck and killed off the wraith that they'd done a mortal wound to, and then my leader struck that wraith, the final one, and she got a load of wounds through with that blood glaive and managed to kill the final wraith. So it's just these warriors with a hell of a lot of Dark Elder just speeding towards them. I've consolidated, haven't quite made it. I was just over an inch away between that Necron and these first witches, but they are loving it and hungry for blood. So it's Necron's turn 3?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
So in Necron's turn 3, they split their fire. They put 10 shots into 1 squad of 5 witches and 10 shots into another. Without that 4-up invuln, because they're not in combat, the witches, they just got cut down. 1 squad got vaporised straight away, and the other squad got taken down to just the leader, but she still got that blast pistol. They then charged these bikers, and they're not all that. When there's just a couple of them, they're not that powerful, and they managed to put him down to 1 wound and kill his mate, and this biker did nothing in return. It's now Witches turn 3. In the final turn, the Witches went in and killed off the Necron, so that's it, turn 3 for the Witches. Had a really successful day. So thank you very much for watching. This is Schola Progenium. Thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.